Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to BWTM Sports. We are live and exclusive with Uncle James and Bashir. It's Whyte versus Franklin post-fight review with the one and only Uncle James and Bashir. Stay right there. Uncle Bashir, it's great to have you back.
Yes, great to be back.
Okay, let's get you on the camera and get myself out of the room. Hold on, let's get that. Okay, so how have you been?
I'm pretty good.
Okay, so go ahead.
Just Philadelphia.
Okay.
I was in the
Okay.
gym.
Working with any fighters?
Doing my business. business. The business of boxing takes you to and from all the time.
Interesting. Okay. So as you know that... Go ahead, Uncle.
Sparring.
Okay. As you know, Dillian Whyte made his comeback fight after being knocked up by one punch by Tyson Fury. He said that Tyson Fury pushed him, and he said that he damaged his leg. He damaged he twisted his ankle.
Yeah.
Tyson.
Yeah.
But anyway, so now on the comeback against Jermaine Franklin, give us your thoughts on the fight. Obviously, you haven't seen the fight yet. Give us your preview to the fight before the fight was obviously I know the result, but give us your preview again.
Right, would eventually stop Franklin late in the fight, 7-8 rounds, because of Jermaine's inexperience on the big fight level. Whyte has been there a few times, so he handles that kind of environment better. So I figured that the nerves and the big fight level would be too much for Jermaine just to jump into that level of boxing and be successful. I figured that Dillian would stop him.
Okay. Well, first of all, the fight went 12 rounds. Second of all, Jermaine Franklin showed a great chin, took some big shots, rallied, got the better of some exchanges, was able to hurt Dillian on a couple of times. Dillian was using the cross-arm defense, blocking his shots for the most part, but Jermaine Franklin was able to come up with good shots, good combination punching. When Dillian was putting the pressure on Jermaine would tuck up very nicely. He would use a movement where he'd slip his head into Dillian's chest and then pull out of that and then throw shots. He would tuck up on the ropes very nicely, very calm under pressure. Boxed like a veteran. Didn't box like a guy who was inexperienced. Didn't box like a guy that was away from abroad. He didn't seem like he was, like, the first time coming to England, you'd have thought he'd boxed in England quite a few times. He's very comfortable. When Whyte put pressure on him, he tried to bully him. He tried to bully, but of course, Franklin was gone.
He showed professionalism.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say this.
Good for you.
I will say this. And we're gonna talk. This is gonna get us into our conversation back from yesterday or the day before. I will say this much. They scored it a draw. One scored it a draw, and the other one scored it 116, 112. Well, that score was an absolute robbery. Franklin, if you scored it 115, 114, I'd have taken that. For Franklin, I would have taken that. For Dillian Whyte, I would have even taken 115, 115. But 115 or 116, 112 is an absolute robbery. Hometown cooking. Dillian Whyte, to me, seemed... Well, yeah, let's put it this way. If Franklin's able to rock him the way that he did, and they talk about Anthony Joshua next, I don't see Whyte doing very much against Joshua, to be honest. Even a Joshua that's gun shy, he's such a heavy-handed man. I just don't see what Dillian Whyte's going to do. And I just felt that Dillian Whyte didn't show me he was levels above Franklin. For a guy who'd been number one contender for so long, he didn't show me that there was a big gap between him and Franklin. The experience, he didn't show me that.
That Joshua is the guy that's going in and finish the job.
I think so. And I'll tell you something tonight. Buddy McGirt saved Dillian Whyte's career tonight. Buddy McGirt, if he had the former trainers in his corner, not Mark Tibbs, because I still think Mark Tibbs is a good trainer, but the other guy, that after he left Mark Tibbs, because I believe that there were moments in the fight that Buddy McGirt had to restrain Dillian Whyte. Get back on your jab. Don't trade with this guy. Keep your distance. Don't use your jab and stop going to the head. If you're going to throw a shot, go to the body instead. So Buddy McGirt was giving instructions, and at times had to scream at Dillian Whyte to keep him to a game plan. He was telling him, actually said, listen, they're going to come out the corner next round and they're going to start throwing this sort of punches at you. Buddy McGirt would warn him before he went out every round. This is what they're going to do. This is what they're going to do. This is what they're going to do. You need to tighten up here. You need to be just use your jab here. And you could see at moments where Dillian Whyte was dog tired and he was just saying, look, use the jab. I don't want you throwing big shots. I don't want you trading with this guy. He's looking for the shot. He's looking for the shot. He's looking for that shot. So he really was Dillian Whyte's eyes. He gave Dillian Whyte a lifeline, because if it was any other trainers in there, keep fit trainers, then that fight could have gone horribly the wrong way for Dillian Whyte tonight, because at all times he was keeping Dillian Whyte alert, and Dillian Whyte at times throughout his career loses concentration. So Buddy McGirt was giving him instructions in the corner, and instructions which were clear, concise, and it wasn't about the trainer, it was about the fighter in a sense, because there are celebrity trainers that take it upon themselves to be all about me and a whole lot of rah in the corner. It was just Buddy in the corner giving the instructions, and that was that one voice and clear instructions. And for that, and they've only worked together for 6 weeks, for that fight, I thought Buddy McGirt was quite clear in what he was saying to Dillian, and it's that sort of trainer that Dillian Whyte needs, because he needs somebody telling him around. Go ahead, Uncle.
I'll take a look at the fight later on and make my own assessment.
Yes,
but
please.
Not that Jermaine Franklin is a bad fighter, but it's just that Jermaine Franklin was able to go the distance with Dillian Whyte, and it was a close fight. From what you're telling me, it was a close fight, which
much too close.
Which leads me to believe that Dillian has seen better days, and that he should perhaps take a back seat now, because he's going to get hurt. I just don't see him doing nothing with Anthony Joshua. Nothing at all.
No.
Repeat earlier. Repeat, but this time earlier.
Quite possibly. Let's hear the people in the room, so I'm going to bring them in. Shook One says, good evening, Mr. Bashir and Ingram. He says, I had the fight 114, 113. The last minute of the round 12 was what took him over the top for me. I thought the 140, 112 score was too wide a margin for me. Good evening, Eve. Good evening, Soldier Eve. It's really good to have you in the house. I attribute Whyte trying to implement new stuff for the reason for his looking so gangly and funky in there that and he didn't want to open up and risk a future mega fight with AJ. Yes, that fair enough. Sorry, 116, 112, yeah. There were times that he wanted to get wild, but McGirt told him not to. He even went and said, do not go looking for the KO in the final round. That was very telling for me. Did Mr. Bashir see Franklin's trainer giving him the double pound after round 9? Dude, that's not for now. That's for round 12. Getting a double pound for making it out.
No, I didn't see it. I didn't see anything yet.
Yeah. So just having a good quality trainer in your corner makes a difference. And that was sadly what was lacking in Anthony Joshua's last two fights. And we talked about Robert Garcia, Uncle, and why, we both felt that Robert Garcia wasn't the man for Anthony Joshua in the fights. So, and now we've seen tonight, you haven't yet.
Just my professional opinion. I just think that it was I don't know how to describe it. Just not a good move. A serious fight like that against Alexander Usyk. This is the rematch. This is the fight that you're looking to secure your legacy in this particular fight, to come back and beat Alexander Usyk. It was just so much at stake, and he gambled with Robert Garcia, a guy that had never trained a heavyweight before, and let's not get it confused that training heavyweights are different. I've said it many times, and I'll say it again. So he went out there and he gambled, and it was a big gamble, and he lost. He lost miserably. This wasn't a good look, and I think that he should not have done that.
But has he learned his lesson? I actually don't think he has, because now he's moving from Robert Garcia to Roy Jones Jr.
Well, I mean, Roy Jones is a boxing enthusiast. All right, he's a boxing enthusiast. He's been out there a long time as an amateur, as a pro. Seen it all, but being there as an enthusiast, being there as a boxer, does not transfer over to being a trainer, because they're different entities, quite different entities. And it's only a few guys in the history of the sport that were able to make the transition and be successful at it. So it remains to be seen what difference Roy Jones will make in the corner of Anthony Joshua.
I've seen Roy Jones work with, I know one guy quite close, Isaac Chilembe, again, lighter fighter. Chris Eubank Jr., lighter fighter. So I think he did, I don't know if he did some work with Povetkin or not, but yeah, I haven't seen Roy work with any big guys.
You really can't tell the depth of the improvement that a trainer makes with a boxer until that boxer is in the fire, meaning that he has to be in there with somebody who can offer him stiff resistance and come through that in flying colors. I'm not talking mediocre guys where they can win. Come on, you can't tell until he's in there with stiff resistance, guys that know
elite guys who are going to throw punches back.
Yeah, guys that know how to fight, guys that will fight, guys that are capable of fighting. So you really can't tell the impression that Roy has made on any boxer until they're in there with somebody that's equally or just a bit above their level.
Their pay grade. Yes, that's quite true. That's quite true. That is quite true. I mean, Eubank has fought.
I mean, if you just beating guys that's a level below or just on the same level, it's an accomplishment. It's always an accomplishment if you get a win, but really can't tell the impression that Roy Jones has made on any fighter until they're in the fire, until they have to get up and survive, get off the floor and survive, and come back and win. Those kind of things, those kind of scenarios.
Is it nostalgia? Now, is it like, when you pick Roy Jones, are you picking Roy Jones based on what he did in the ring as a fighter? Or are you picking him based on his training resume? That's the thing, because I can understand the lure for Roy, because Roy speaks very well. He speaks very, very well. And he knows the sport of boxing, but it's just, like Paulie Malignaggi, there's another one. You listen to him on commentary, he sounds very good, seems very knowledgeable about the sport, but does that equate to him being a very good trainer?
Yeah.
Teddy Atlas, he sounds very knowledgeable, talking boxing on podcasts and commentary. However, when you look at him as a trainer, and then you look at how many fights with the top guys he's actually had, like with Timothy Bradley. How long did he stay with Bradley? How long did he stay with Povetkin? You look at him, he's barely had a fight with him, one fight here, two fights here. He's coming as a consultant here for one fight, two fights, and I don't know if that translates to him being a very good trainer because he speaks very well in commentary. Because it seems to me, I could be out of line for saying this, but it seems to be people will just pick trainers without listening to what they're actually saying in the corner, the instructions they're given in the corner.
Amazing.
They hear them, they will listen, they will watch a trainer based on what the media tells them, or they'll pick a trainer based on what just the reasons why they pick a trainer. It looks good to be with that trainer. That trainer's a celebrity trainer. The guy's got a very good gym.
My mom used to tell me, it does not matter what you do or what you say you could do. The proof is in the tasting of the pudding. You know what I'm saying? That's what she said. The proof is in the tasting of the pudding. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at.
But how much, I don't use the word damage because that's a very negative tone, but how much influence has Floyd Mayweather's career, his unbeaten record, the flashing of the money, the cars, the girls, the bling bling, and being the A side, how much is that either stalled boxing or pushed boxing forward? Because everyone wants to do all that pad work now. I really want, because that pad work wasn't around before Floyd started doing all that stuff. It wasn't like that before. And then Floyd came along and Floyd was doing that. And when he was doing that stuff, that was for the cameras. He didn't do that all the time. He did that for the cameras.
I think that style of pad work was designed exclusively for Floyd Mayweather. And it worked best for Floyd Mayweather because his family was the originators of that style of pad work. But again, I tell the fighters that I work with, if you want an aerobic class, then go get an aerobic teacher. I'm a boxing trainer, and I don't allude to that kind of pad work. I just don't think that it does the boxer any justice. I just don't think that they'll be able to go across the finish line by doing that. It's more like an aerobic workout. It's more like a preconceived aerobic workout. I don't like it. I don't cater to it. I just don't do it. And all of the guys that I work under with, including Emmanuel Stewart, he didn't like it either. So I just don't think that it has any significance in the world of professional boxing. I'm sure that there are dozens of people out there who might dispute what I'm saying, but like I said, it's worthless to me.
Okay.
Just not going to help you get across the finish line.
Good evening, Leif. Hope that you're well. Emmanuel Stewart had a promising amateur start as a boxer himself. Does Mr. Bashir think he would have been a great trainer if he had come to training after a great pro career? Emmanuel Stewart we're talking about now.
Who?
If Emmanuel Stewart had an outstanding pro career, would he have been a better trainer?
I just think that Emmanuel was born for boxing. I think he was born into the sport of boxing. Very articulate when it came to the sport of boxing. He didn't miss very much.
Okay. Because here, Shook One says, not everyone can make the transfer from fighter to trainer. Mayweather, great fighter, but if you feel you could eclipse or equal his status, he will downgrade you. Broner, Tank come to mind. He goes, the Mayweather effect is real, and it's adversity affected fighters who didn't have Floyd's drive and talent to maintain a zero or normally mediocre career. Guys, kind of hard to see that now. Guys hid behind his defense. Just like a whole bunch of guys, like after Muhammad Ali got KO'd, trying to dance with their hands down. Loads got beaten up, KO'd trying the Floyd defense. PSA, kids don't try that at home.
To you, I said some time ago that Muhammad Ali, Roy Jones, and Floyd Mayweather has caused the destruction of so many budding careers for them trying to emulate those guys. And those guys did something from their own ingenuity. Muhammad Ali, Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather had awkward styles that was very, very difficult to duplicate. I have never seen anybody to duplicate them and be as successful as they were in doing it. And those people who tried to emulate them always got knocked down and knocked out, because they couldn't do it. Those styles was for those guys. So I wouldn't teach anybody to try to box like Floyd Mayweather, Roy Jones, or Muhammad Ali. Be yourself. Be yourself. Don't go out there trying to emulate those guys, because you might end up getting knocked out or getting your brains knocked out, one of the two.
Do you think that I want to say this generation, but we're in a fast food society where everybody wants everything quick now in a hurry, but will not take the time to listen to an experienced trainer?
I call it to put it in a jar and shake it up. Is it ready yet? Society. It's an era. That's you want everything instantly. Put it in the microwave. Is it ready in 3 minutes? Okay, it's ready. I don't want to wait for nothing.
Isn't that because of the promoters as well? Some promoters, may I say, because they want pay-per-view stars. They want guys they put investment. They want their money back quickly. So there's more pressure to produce better fighters. So fighters have to kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. It takes away very much from the trainers too, because most of the young guys that's out there now and the young girls that's out there now, they want theirs now. So, you get some fancy pad work and somebody blowing smoke up your behind, you could do this, you could do that, you could do this, and it takes away from the true teaching of the sport.
Because there's a limited number of trainers that are able to pass down the quality, the experience, and the know-how, and we've got trainers being fast-tracked, is there a sense, or there is a real possibility that we will not have legends 10 years from now, or 15 or 20 years from now? We will not have the legends because of the quality of boxing fundamentals. We're going away from that, and so therefore, because we haven't got the teachers, we now will not have greats in 10 years looking back. We're going to have ordinary fighters that are very much inflated.
I tell you right now, there's not many teachers around of the sport. There's not many teachers. I see a lot of flash in the pan wannabe teachers.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, they're not teachers. And they're not teaching the sport. And you can see by the short careers of most of the fighters that's coming out. Adrian Broner, a fighter that was a budding star. He was a budding star, but for the most part, Adrian Broner might be over. It might be over for him right now. Mm-hmm. There's 1,000 young guys that's coming up in those weight classes, junior welterweight now, that'll give Adrian some work, some real serious work. But he had the makings of a star.
Mm-hmm. A real star.
Yeah. But it looks like that time has passed. And for him to come back now, he'd only be inviting himself to a terrible beating.
Mm-hmm. In your mind, if you're advising a young person or a young boxer to look for a good trainer, what are the fundamentals of a good boxing trainer to separate, the wolves in sheep's clothing from the genuine, real deal trainers? What do you have to do? What would a fighter have to do?
Look for a trainer that's going to teach you the ABCs. Trainers that's not in a rush to make money. That's what they got to watch out for. Not in a rush to make money. Patient. A guy that's patient. And that's going to teach you the ABCs of the sport. Those are the big things you got to look for. A lot of guys, they look at boxing on television. They look at boxing on YouTube, and they get ideas about what they could do. So they rush a guy out from the amateurs to the pros, and they try to formulate a strategy to get them there inside 10, 15 fights. That's not, for me, that's not teaching. You might have that has some ability,
mm-hmm.
and they'll take that ability and they'll disguise it like the guy's better than what he is and put him in. All in the effort to get fame and money. I think it's nonsense.
What about promoters that say you have to go with this trainer, this trainer, this trainer?
Well, in my opinion, that's not the promoter's business. That's not the manager's business. Sometimes now they make it their business, but that's not their business. A boxer, and for the young boxers out there that's listening, male and female, you go with what your gut feelings tells you. You go with the person that you're most comfortable with that can give you instructions. Because being comfortable is when a boxer learns best. If the boxer is uncomfortable, then the trainer is not going to do him very much good.
Okay, so let me throw this back at you. If Anthony Joshua was listening to you, he said that Robert Garcia made him feel most comfortable. He said that Angel Garcia made him feel most comfortable.
Well,
And he's now going to see Roy Jones is going to make him feel comfortable. So where does the point of being comfortable and being uncoachable become?
He said that they made him feel comfortable. But the end result is that he wasn't very comfortable faces Alexander Usyk. You can say a lot of things, but the proof, again, is in the tasting of the pudding. That's what Mama told me. She said the proof is always in the tasting of the pudding. So when you have comfort, even teachers in school, you'd have two teachers, science teachers. You have two teachers.
Mm-hmm.
One of them teaches the same thing as the other, but one of them is in a more comfortable fashion where the student can collect knowledge because of comfort. But when you're not comfortable, it's just hard. It's just more difficult. I'm a witness bearer to that,
How do you deal as a trainer with a fighter that looks good in the gym, looks sensational in sparring, and then come fight night in the locker room starts having panic attacks, and then when you get to ring,
that's very hard to get a fighter like that to get over the hump. It's just very hard. It's no way you could teach a guy how not to be nervous in the locker room. It's a mentality. It's just something that the fighter, the individual, has to get over by himself. Because you can't do it. I've seen dozens of guys like that. I've seen dozens of guys. They beat everybody in the gym, but they get to the locker room and they finished. They get plucked in the head and they go out. I've seen it a dozen times.
But so what about things like I've seen some trainers do it where they turn the lights down in the gym, they turn the lights down and they kind of create that sort of atmosphere to prepare the fighter for that situation. They say if you prepare them under pressure, then they won't crack under pressure. Your thoughts?
Bullshit.
Well, you're the trainer, not me. I'm just asking.
Bullshit.
Why?
It's bullshit. I don't think anything can do you because the fighter knows that this is the real deal. He knows gym when he do all that this boogeyman stuff. You know, he knows he's in the gym and he knows when he's at the real fights. So that's just a waste of time, a waste of energy.
Okay, let me throw this at you.
Man, come on.
Let me throw this at you. Okay, so one thing it probably happens up and down the country and around the world where you get fighters that would come from other gyms to do sparring, like just to make things more, just to liven things up because you're using the same sparring partners all the time. You bring guys from other gyms, maybe more around the amateur circuit, where you bring other guys in. Say, all right, this club's visiting our club tonight. We're going to have an open spar. So for 3 rounds, you have an open spar against a guy you don't know anything about for 3 rounds. Similar weight, similar height, whatever. And you left to spar for 3 rounds. Does that not help to deal with overcoming certain nerves? Because now you're training with guys you don't know and you're trying to deal with nerves there. Does that not help? No. Oh dear. Oh dear.
You got it or you don't. You're a fighter or you're not.
Wait, hold on, Uncle. So wait, Johnny Nelson, who was nervous and for the beginning of his career was very nervous, and at the end of his career, he was a very confident fighter. When he was older, than when he was younger, he was very nervous. So that experience.
Ways. I mean, sometimes it propels, and sometimes it robs.
Yeah.
Having nerves is just two different things. Sometimes it'll propel the guy to go out and do well, and then other times it robs him of the energy. They say, "Why is the guy so tired? It's only been 2 rounds because of the nerves."
Right. So okay, how do some guys that get knocked out clean and then they come back? And like Manny Pacquiao, he doesn't worry about being gun shy. He can still fire off, get knocked out by Marquez and come back and still fight like he didn't get knocked out. And then there are other guys who come back and they get gun shy. How does that work?
Different strokes for different folks.
For different folks.
That's what it boils down to. Different strokes for different folks.
So, like, there was like Emmanuel Stewart was that guy that when you lost a fight, you came back to guide.
If I have to do all the things that you're talking about, I won't train that fighter. I'm no good for him because there are certain demands in every fight that the trainer is going to lay on the fighter's lap. You have to go out and do this. You have to go out and do that. And you've got to do it right now to change this fight around so we can get the win. And the fighter himself or herself has got to be willing to do it.
Okay. Well, if you're getting paid X amount of money, you're getting paid some serious money. This is my client, train him. And you know that he's not really following the game plan, but it's a very good payday. I mean, what you probably earn in a year, you're earning with this one fighter. Do you turn around and say, nah, I ain't training him, or I'll just take him as far as I can? What's your mindset on that?
You know what? Everybody needs money.
Right.
I've never heard anybody say, I've got enough money.
Right.
I've heard nobody say, I've got so much money that I don't need no more. So that's something that everybody needs.
Right.
But I don't want to just go out and take money, and I know the guy or the girl ain't shit. I don't want to go out there fooling the whole world. I mean, I love boxing.
But wait,
and I
so
want to win. I want to win. When I come to win, I want to know I won on all merits.
okay,
Not,
if Muhammad Ali's grandson comes to you and says, "I want you to train me," and you're like, look at this boy and say, he can't box for anything, but he's got the Ali name there.
I think that young man's an enthusiast. I think he has heart. He just
Yeah,
has to learn
I think so.
more about the sport of boxing.
I think he's decent.
I think that he wants to box. I think that he really, really wants to box. He has the eye. He just has to learn what he's doing before he gets starched.
Yeah, that's the one.
You
Uncle,
know,
let me get people asking questions again, saying, okay, Leif says, Dwyer Boxing here on YouTube often says the greats were always different. Shook says, I laughed till I cried when I saw Andre Berta trying Floyd's defense in a fight and getting hit with the exact same shots that the style is supposed to protect you from. LOL, Mr. Bashir, boxing needs.
yeah. I think those styles are made for those people again. I think they were made for those people. Muhammad Ali pulling back. With definitely punches coming out his chin, and he pulled back with both hands down. Floyd with the shoulder roll.
Yeah.
And Roy Jones with a host of antics.
Flaws that would get you knocked out. Uh-huh.
That get somebody else knocked out, but it worked for them. I think that is a situation that cannot be duplicated, replicated. I wouldn't try it. I wouldn't teach it. I wouldn't attempt to teach it.
I saw over the last 5 years decent boxers with losses pound into mince meat. Guys with padded records with no losses but mediocre skills. Boxing is not a game.
No, boxing is not a game. Not by any stretch of the imagination. No, it's not a game.
Does Mr. Bashir believe that more head injuries? Okay. Does Mr. Bashir believe that more head injuries, deaths occur today due to excessive sparring and not enough ring time, or is it just underreported before?
I think that a lot of head injuries occurs in gym wars. Yeah, I do think a lot of careers end in the gym long before they get to the professional ranks. Because they seem to think that they're proving something in gym wars. Everybody wants to have gym wars and a lot of rooting and hollering, to compete in the gym, but that's not the place. I mean, the gym, I like to see my guys go out there and box comfortably. Box where they're so relaxed that they're not afraid that, hey, I'm going to get hit with this punch, and this punch might knock me out. As opposed to saying, I'm boxing, but I know that my guy, my sparring partner, he's not going to try to hurt me. He's going to try to make contact, but he's not going to try to rip my head off. I want them to box where they can learn what they're doing. But they can't do it if you gotta watch out for a guy trying to knock you out every second of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there may be those to dispute it. Who cares? But that's my kind of way. That's my way.
Okay. Should promoters be paying great trainers to win fights where the opposition has Johnny come lately pad guys?
I don't pay attention to pad guys, and I warned the boxers I work with, Vlad Sarenko, Igor Plaveco, and any other boxers that I come in contact. I warn against that, because that's not the fight. That's not going to help them in the fight. I don't think. I think that with that pad work offers maybe a fifth of what boxing is all about.
Mm-hmm. Well, nobody's going to stand there and let you hit them like that anyway.
all the fast stuff. It doesn't prove anything. It doesn't prove a single thing.
Or would a great trainer on one side stop a contract being agreed upon by promotion nowadays? Would a great trainer on one side stop a contract being agreed upon by a promotion nowadays?
I don't quite understand the question. I don't quite understand.
Okay. Would a great trainer on one side stop a contract being agreed upon by promotion nowadays? I'm not sure. Maybe if you could rewrite that first, Leif, that'd be fantastic. I saw a young kid boxing tonight for the first time. He's had 2 or 3 fights. He's European amateur champion, won a gold medal and stuff. And they're raving about this kid. He's this, he's that, he's this. So I said, watch this kid for the first time. His name's Boo Boo Davison. And he's watching another young lad, lost 2 fights. He come to give it a go. He's trained by Ben Davison. And I'm looking at this kid, I'm thinking, he doesn't punch particularly hard. He doesn't throw fast combinations. He doesn't go through levels. Like he doesn't switch up his tempo. He doesn't feint very much. He doesn't move his head very much. He doesn't go to the body great. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, this guy's fantastic. He's wonderful. He's great. And I think to myself, is it? I mean, if I'm watching boxing, I want the commentators to be telling me and educating me about a fighter. I don't want you lying to me about a fighter. And I certainly don't want you telling me something that's not true. Like, you're telling me this guy's this. I'm looking at guys like one-paced, flat-footed. He fights with his chin up in the air. He's got no sort of, hardly any feints. He doesn't do anything particularly well. Very bang average. And he'd be lucky if he wins a British title. And I'm thinking to myself, this is what I have to watch. And if you don't know about boxing, you take that and say, this guy is going places. And would it not be advisable to have more educated people in the commentary box rather than people that are just selling a script for the promoter?
Your guess is as good as mine. Good as mine, because I see it all over television that a lot of the people that are in those commentary positions are not knowledgeable. They're not knowledgeable. They're there because of the fanfare, but outside of that, it's a foregone conclusion that these people don't know.
It's damaging the sport, Uncle. That's another area. It's damaging. This is an area you can watch boxing and be educated. Now,
yeah. They don't care. They don't care.
Okay, here goes. Leif, I think it's rewritten. He says, an extreme example. If one boxer had a great trainer and a YouTuber had a padwork trainer, would the great trainer be an issue to making the bout happen?
No. The way things is now, no. It's terrible the way things are, but that's the truth. Okay. They'd make it happen if they had 2 ping pong players.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Essentially asking, why the hell are people like Mr. Bashir not being respected properly in the sport?
Because I talk too much. It's something that I have because I talk too much. I'm too knowledgeable. I know too much. And they're not going to have somebody like me around that's going to speak his mind with these terrible decisions that they're giving. And nobody says.
Gophers, that's what it is. Gophers.
Nobody says nothing. They come up with these terrible decisions. I mean, terrible. Much like the Dillian Whyte decision tonight. You said you wouldn't agree with it, but the announcers are not going to say nothing. Nobody's going to confront the issue and say, "Hey, get that guy out of there." One thing that I feel that Teddy Atlas got that booted from the ESPN was he was
spoke up.
He was too vocal. He was too vocal. They say, "Get him out of here." You know, he was too vocal about the commissions. He was too vocal about the misappropriation of scoring fights. He was very vocal, and I like that.
Today, I saw a video. I kid you not. It was the referee. It might be Padillo, and it was Manny Pacquiao, and he openly admitted that he cheated for Manny Pacquiao. The fight was in the Philippines, and the guy knocked Manny Pacquiao down. And Manny, he said he was in the Philippines. He said he's Filipino. He said, I can tell. Manny's eyes were crossed. So he said, well, the first thing I did was he's laughing about this. First thing I did a slow count. 1, 2, 3. And then when he got up, I said, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Okay. Then I went across the other guy. So he was basically saying he cheated for Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there openly laughing about it. This guy was putting a beating on Pacquiao. It wasn't meant to happen. And the guy dropped Pacquiao badly. Pacquiao was out of it, he said. He said he could have stopped the fight there and then because Pacquiao was such a bad state. And then Pacquiao was holding on. And I think Pacquiao headbutted the guy. And then he pulled the guy off, Pacquiao off the guy. Pacquiao off the guy, and then he pushed the guy into the corner and started telling the guy off, even though it was Pacquiao that headbutted the guy. Just so Pacquiao could get more time to clear his head. And then there was a cut, and then they stopped the fight, giving Pacquiao a technical knockout.
Everybody should be able to be interviewed. Some states don't allow you to interview the officials. But I think the people that score in the fights, I think that the referee, I think all of them should be able to be communicated with at pre and then after the fight. What led you to this decision? What led you to stop the fight? To give this kind of situation for that kind of results. You know, you look at the Lennox Lewis Holyfield's
first fight.
That was terrible.
But hold on. It was terrible, but it made Don King a lot more money for a rematch and as a better fight the second fight. Much better fight the second fight.
Then you got another Don King situation. Pernell Whitaker versus Julio Cesar Chavez.
Terrible decision.
It was a terrible decision.
It was a terrible decision, but that's what made Frankie Randall. Was it Frankie? That's why I made the Frankie Randall Chavez fight that much sweeter when Randall dropped Chavez.
Right.
Chavez is down. Chavez is down. Remember that? It made it sweet because we thought about the Meldrick Taylor fight. We thought about the Pernell Whitaker fight. We thought about all these fights where they were hailing Chavez as this god. And then Randall drops him hard on his ass.
Frankie beat him up.
Yeah, it was nice. Nice. It was nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's like justice. Finally.
So those guys, everybody should be in a position where they can be questioned before the fight and after the fight. But there's certain committees will let you question the officials.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Well, I want to come back to that.
Turn it, and they won't overturn anything.
Mm-hmm. I don't know whether Mr. Bashir agrees with this, but some of the judges' results in these fights made me think that they have been on PEDs, and I mean that.
Yeah, I agree with him.
You guys here, Whitaker, Chavez, Taylor, Chavez, just terrible outcomes.
Yeah, that was a terrible fight, but even if Steele didn't disqualify or stop the fight, Lou Duval was on the ring apron prior to the Richard Steele making the decision. by Lou Duva being on the ring apron, that would have ended the fight itself. That fight would, if you step on the ring apron like that, the fight's over.
Wow.
Oh, so by Lou Duva being on that ring apron like that there, which I think in my mind distracted Meldrick Taylor. When Richard Steele was talking to Meldrick Taylor, Meldrick Taylor was distracted by Lou Duva, and by the time he looked back, Steele said the fight. And Steele had just looked over. If Steele had just looked over his shoulder, he would have saw Chavez was right behind him. He should have turned around and directed Chavez to a neutral corner, and by then the fight would have been over. So there was a whole lot of fooling around in that fight.
I'll give you two fights that nobody talks about. Nigel Benn, Jerome McClellan, the first round. McClellan knocks Ben out of the ring. And I believe it's more than 10 seconds.
You think so?
Ben gets knocked out the ropes. He gets knocked through the ropes by McClellan in the first round. He's allowed to get back in the ring. And I swear it was said afterwards that the reason why they let Ben back in the ring is because they wanted to get, Don King wanted value for money. That's why that fight went on. And subsequently, we know what happened to McClellan.
I have to look at that now. I have to work with
Second fight. Chris Eubank versus Michael Watson, the second fight.
Yeah.
Eubank gets knocked down. Remember it? And then he gets up. Watson's coming to finish him. Eubank hits him with the uppercut. Watson goes down, bang into the corner. At that point, he's out. He gets taken back to his corner. He sits down on the stool. He hasn't recovered. Then the bell goes for the next round. Watson's still out on his feet. The referee pulls Watson out for the 12th round. And Watson is defenseless. He's gone. And Eubank jumps on top of him and finishes the fight off.
Right.
And of course, Watson goes into a coma.
Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
I thought that was a long count.
What about Fury versus Wilder? The first fight. The count.
That was a close one. That's close. That was a very, very close fight.
According to the referee, he said he wanted to see the rematch. So the thing is, who is the person that can be the independent authority that can bring these judges in and hold them to account? And is there a judging school? And if there's a judging school, what's the criteria?
How to change the rules.
And is it right that the promoters and the judges and the referee, say the referee and the judges, the promoter pays for them?
Before I forget, there was a fight on the Dillian Whyte undercard.
Wardley and Gorman.
Yeah, what happened?
Well, Gorman started well, and then he made a mistake. He hit Wardley on the chin. Wardley's leg buckled, and then Wardley busted his nose, may have broke his nose. Wardley got mad, and threw a combination, hit him with Gorman with a right hand, and knocked him down. And then after that, just basically Wardley just jumped on top of him and finished him off. 3 rounds. Stopped Gorman. The towel got thrown in. Wardley's a bad man. He's a bad man. He's a bad man. You hit him, you stun him, then he lets the shots go.
Okay.
And he can punch with either hand.
Okay. So
I tell you, if he had a quality trainer, no disrespect to training he's got, if he had a quality trainer in that corner, that guy could go on to be a real problem in the heavyweight division.
Who's training?
I don't know. Ben Davidson's been brought in now as a consultant. He's coming in to help out. That's what I'm saying. If he had a real quality Not disrespectful to that trainer. He's done a good job with him. Bearing in mind that Wardley didn't have many amateur fights at all. You know, if he has a quality trainer in that corner. And as for Nathan Gorman, he hasn't got it. He hasn't got what it takes. There's something missing with Nathan Gorman. I don't know what it is. It seems that any guy that he seems to fight that's going to bring heavy artillery and he's going to put it on him, he seems to just cower into his shell and get knocked over. That's what it seems to me with Nathan Gorman.
Okay.
But Wardley's dangerous. I saw Molina clip him again, and Molina can punch a bit. He clipped him, and then the next thing, Wardley had him on his back. I think he's now 14-0 with 14 KOs.
Right.
Good fighter. Good fighter.
All right. He's moving right along.
So now they're trying to he's British champion now. They're trying to get Fraser Clark in there with him. Fraser Clark better watch himself. Fraser Clark better watch himself. Because no disrespect, I like Fraser Clark, I don't rate him.
I'm not familiar with Fraser Clark. What does he bring? What does he bring to the
Fraser Clark was I think he was Olympian. I don't know if he won silver or something. He fought Joe Joyce in the amateurs, and they had a back and forth, but Joyce ended up knocking him out in the amateurs. I think he's beaten Fraser Clark twice, Joe Joyce. It's like a boogeyman for Fraser Clark. He's turned pro now. A lot of things talked about him, and yeah, I think he's in the same company as what's his name, as Anthony Joshua. But he's all right. But no. By the way, I think it's next weekend. Fury, Chisora 3 next weekend. Any thoughts?
I can't see it any different than the first two fights.
Well, the second fight, I was actually privy to that second fight, and Chisora, the fight was they don't talk about that second fight. All they say is Chisora looked bad in that second fight, but before they had that second fight, Chisora, the fight was kind of postponed because Chisora had damaged his thumb in sparring. I was there when he damaged his thumb, and he had in camp Marisvac and Ustinov, and he was brilliant in the gym. In fact, he knocked Ustinov out cold in sparring. That's when Ustinov was still in the top 10 and people were talking about Ustinov doing things, and he knocked Ustinov out cold. It was kept quiet, but yeah. And Derek, because Vac, that was some good sparring. Vac was backing. Derek would let Vac pin him to the ropes, and Vac would be punching him, and Derek would just wait for about, say, 30 seconds, then he'd just jump off the ropes to the left hook and then go back at Vac. So he was in good form, Derek, because he had a string of wins, won the European title, a string of wins, got the injury, and then they postponed the fight, and then Chisora fought Tyson Fury in the back of that, and it was a very lackluster performance from Derek. So I look at the first fight.
I think
wipe the second fight out, and now we've got the third fight.
The jury's out on that. I'm not enthusiastic about the fight. I just don't think that, I mean, Derek is older, tired now, so I'm just saying, what's going to be any different?
Okay. Fury's not moving his feet as much anymore. He's a power puncher now, so he's coming forward throwing big shots. So he's there to get hit more, I guess, which makes it more of an interesting fight.
Yeah, we're going to see.
You don't expect much from Derek then?
No, I don't. I think especially if Fury lays on him the first 3-4 rounds. I just don't see what he's going to do different than he did from the last two fights. Again, Fury is an older guy.
He's had 3 fights with Deontay Wilder.
Huh?
He had 3 fights with Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, he's going to lay on him. I just don't see what.
How many rounds then? How many rounds if you're
5?
5 rounds?
5 rounds.
Wow. Wow. Okay, Uncle. Wow. Okay.
Not
All
unless
right.
Fury is in there, just want to make it interesting. I just don't see Derek being able to do anything. I think Derek is just a happy camper when it comes to the sport of boxing. He just likes to box, But I think that for the most part, he's over the hill.
Okay. Got a lot of people asked a lot of things been said here. Let me bring them back in for you, Uncle. Won't keep you much longer.
I'd be more interested in Wardley versus Derek Chisora.
That'd be an interesting fight. I've never noticed the Luduva part. I will rewatch this, Shook, because Ben McClellan was so hurt. I felt that in the first round, the referee should have ended that thing. Yeah, he should have stopped the fight in the first round.
What in Ben?
John Smith. Okay.
In what fight? McClellan?
The McClellan fight. Yeah, he should have stopped the fight in the first round.
Yeah.
Respect just got in, says John Smith. I had Franklin winning that. Whyte is finished at fringe world level. I'll probably agree with you there. Jack Reese's statement, I wanted to see the rematch. That just killed me. LOL. Oh, because Leif says, no idea if this is true, but at the time of the Ben McClellan bout, the press said Paul McKenna had hypnotized Nigel Benn not to accept defeat. McKenna was a popular TV hypnotist at the time. Yeah, I heard that stuff. I also heard that Steve Collins was using a hypnotist on Chris Eubank for the Chris Eubank fight, but I think Collins was pulling Eubank's leg. And he said he was just listening to some music.
Bullshit.
So you don't believe in the old hypnotherapy stuff?
No, not at all.
Have you ever come across a fighter using that stuff?
Not with if I was a trainer, no. As soon as he wanted to see a hypnotist, then when he got back up, my bags and knee would be gone.
Really?
Yeah, I don't believe in that nonsense. I can't believe in it. You fight or you flight.
Okay. AJ sparks him, and so does Dubois. He's talking about Dillian Whyte.
What about it?
That's what's going to happen to him, according to John Smith. He's going to get done by Dubois and by AJ. What matchup in boxing would excite Mr. Bashir?
What would match up at boxing? There's a lot of matchups in boxing. That's
just not going to happen.
Yeah,
Spence Crawford. We know you what Spence Crawford. It's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
I'll tell you one: Tank versus Garcia.
Yeah, that's a good fight.
Spence versus Thurman.
It's all right. I'm not up in arms saying, "Woo, I want to see that." It's all right.
Okay. Wilder Joshua. Would you watch that? Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd be excited about that one.
Deontay Wilder, Alexander Usyk.
Yeah. Anything with Deontay Wilder, and I'd be excited.
Do you believe Eddie Hearn says that Deontay Wilder would not land a glove on Alexander Usyk?
Well, he doesn't. Deontay still has some things to prove as a boxer, But, styles makes fights. And Deontay Wilder, when it comes to styles, is unpredictable. He'll find a way to land them punches.
He'll find a way to land the punches then?
Yeah, he'll find a way.
What happens if he touches Usyk with that right hand?
The same thing that happens if he touches anybody with that right hand. It's going to be, I don't know whether to knock him out, but it will show. It will show. He'll understand. Usyk will understand that he's been hit.
Understand that he's been hit like Joshua hits him, or understand he's been hit like something else?
Like something else.
So if you were training Alexander Usyk against Deontay Wilder, what would you be suggesting to him? Don't get hit with that right hand.
Well, I wouldn't tell him to be in awe of the right hand. I'd tell him to take the right hand away from him.
Away from Wilder.
Take it away from him. And nobody knows how to do that better than Alexander Usyk. You know, you can't spend a whole fight trying to avoid right hand, so you have to take it away from him. You have to make him put the right hand in mothballs. And Alexander Usyk will know he'll maybe be able to make the adjustments from there.
But can he make the adjustment enough not to get touched with it for 12 rounds?
Yeah. That's what I'm telling you. You know, once I tell him not to get caught up with the right hand, he'll know how to make the adjustments. Smart guy.
Chris Eubank Sr. was very scathing of Wilder. He said that it doesn't impress him that a guy throws punches like a windmill, and then he says, all I need is I just need you to make one mistake, and then the fight is over. He said that doesn't impress him at all. That's not boxing.
Well, you know, in the heavyweight division, you know, like I said, if Wilder can master at this stage his left hand, his left jab, then the right hand will land easier. Doesn't need a whole lot at a heavyweight, you know, just to stiffen up on his jab, be more accurate with the jab, and that'll help him land those right hands.
If Wilder had trained in the Klitschko camp and trained with the Klitschkos, how would you have been today in the heavyweight division?
I don't know if he could have stayed with the Klitschkos at that time, because the Klitschkos was streaking at that time, and Wilder was a young guy. So I don't know if he could have hung out with those guys. He couldn't land those right hands on Vladimir Klitschko.
So can you explain to me, Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder both have been in camps with Vladimir Klitschko, correct?
Correct.
Now, if you've been in world-class, elite training camps, why would you not, as a fighter, having had all that experience sparring with the top heavyweight in the world, why would you not replicate that in your own careers afterwards? Would that not have made sense? Like, you saw how meticulous Klitschko trained, how meticulous his training camps were. You'd have thought Joshua and Wilder would have got a hold of that and done something with that.
Different strokes for different folks.
Well, it's two folks have done the same thing. Two folks have done the same thing.
Different strokes for different folks. Obviously, it didn't impress them, so.
I can't get it. I don't understand it. It mystifies me.
Yeah.
Just think about it. If Muhammad Ali was in this, if a Muhammad Ali type figure was in this era, would they be appreciated?
No, the people just have their own concept of how they want to be involved. This is how I want. This is how I'm going to train. Would they appreciate him? I don't know.
Sugar Ray Robinson, would they have appreciated him?
They say yeah from their mouths, but their hearts are far removed.
I can't understand it, because I come back to this man Joshua. I can't understand it, Uncle. I can't understand how this man has made the decisions that he's made. I can't understand how he's got you in his midst. He goes with Robert Garcia. He's now talking about Roy Jones Jr. It's like he hasn't learned his lesson. What is it about you that they won't? It's like they've got like some sort of what are they seeing when they see you? What are they scared of when they see you? What is it? Is it like cow dunk in their eyes, or what?
Perhaps I'm too extreme. Perhaps they know that they're going to have to perform at this level to please me, to please my concept of boxing. So I don't know. I don't know what it is or what it could be. I just want to extract. I want to extract the best from their attributes. You understand? I want to extract the best from their attributes.
Here's a fight for you, a good friend of the show, Julian Jackson. How does Julian Jackson do against Chris Eubank Sr.?
I think Eubank boxes him. Eubank is a good boxer. Jackson could punch, but I think that Eubank could get much the same thing done with Julian Jackson that McQuillan got done with him.
Yeah, I think so. Eubank is physically a bigger man, though. Eubank is a super middleweight, light heavyweight, in terms of stature.
He's a clever boxer out there. He's clever.
Bigger guy, naturally, yeah.
You're not going to hit Eubank with those shots. Not the youthful Eubank. No, Julian Jackson can't beat Eubank. He can't beat him.
Yeah.
Bank is a good puncher. You're not going to get those kind of things done with Julian Jackson. I mean, with Chris Eubank. He's too smart.
Eubank said the one guy he had no interest in facing was Roy Jones Jr. at no point in time.
Eubank?
He said, yeah. He said, Ben, yes. Tony, maybe, but Roy Jones, no chance. He said, they may have called me simply best, but that guy was something special.
Yeah, well, he thinks Roy was something special. If he got it with James Toney was very special too.
He was getting himself outboxed by Michael Nunn. He really was, until Michael Nunn did the stupid thing and leave his chin out to dry.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was exhausted. Both of those guys was exhausted. When the knockout came, they were exhausted. They were very, very tired when the knockout came. But Michael was on his way to the fight, though.
He was winning the fight. Uncle, is there anything else you want to talk about tonight before we wrap it up?
No. Just glad to be here. Everybody came to join us, to be continued next week.
Absolutely, Uncle. Uncle, thank you so much for your time as always. Thank you to everybody who stayed up to chill out with us and ask your questions. And
when you talk to me, my mind is always racing ahead to the next question or the next scenario. I'm always thinking when you're talking. You're keeping me on my toes. And that's what's interesting about us discussing boxing.
I like to extract information from you because I'm all the time learning and the success I have, it might not be the sport of boxing, but the success I have in life, I really do. Since 2013, all that wisdom you give and say things, little nuggets of wisdom you give, I tell you, it helps so much and it's helped me so much. I'm thankful for it.
Have a good night, man.
Thank you, Uncle. I appreciate you. You take care. Everybody, thank you again for another, for being here. We appreciate you. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.